रुंगटा से स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं।
Recording in progress.
Dr. Rungta sir.
रुंग स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं।
I welcome you all in this 39th CME. This is 39th CME of Sahabat Optometrical Society and 12th web event. I just wanted to share a few words about present pandemic also. This second wave of COVID-19 had been a big threat to all of us. It appears that nobody will be left untouched by this COVID. The inadequate hospital beds, especially ICU beds, inadequate oxygen supply, inadequate life-saving medicines, and inadequate ventilators have made our life really very tough. But for this, we cannot blame the government. We should not blame the hospitals, and we cannot blame the healthcare system. This was a sudden, temporary, and unprecedented situation. Nobody was prepared for this. And in fact, hospitals are not built to prevent road accidents. Sanjeev ji, join कीजिए. Road accidents can only be prevented by proper caution. Likewise, people have to adopt all preventive measures and should take all precautions to save themselves from this coronavirus. And please, this is my request, not to go to your workplace without guard and other safety measures. I welcome today's chairperson, Dr. V.N. Prasad sir, who is a real mentor, guide, and all-time advisor for BOS. He is MBBS gold medalist from Ranchi Medical College. He did his MS in ophthalmology from Patna Medical College Hospital. He worked as resident surgeon in Department of Ophthalmology, PMCH, and also worked as eye specialist in Telco Hospital, Jamshedpur. He was lecturer in ophthalmology in Al Fateh University, Tripoli, Libya. And I think he was there till 1988. He is doing private practice in Patna since 1989. He is director of Modern Eye Center, Patna. He is managing trustee of the Vidyavati Eye Trust, Patna. He is past president of Bihar Optometrical Society and also past president of IZOC and also a member of the executive committee of AIOS. He has performed more than 40,000 pre-cataract surgeries in rural camps. He was amongst first to start ECC, SICS, and PECO surgery in Bihar. He was among first to start rural population-based screening for diabetes and glaucoma. He screened and treated nearly 20,000 school children in and around Patna. Still, he is more young and more active than many of us. Hope we are always blessed by his gifts. Welcome, sir. I also welcome Dr. Nagendra Prasad, who is Chairman ARC, Bihar Optometrical Society, and Dr. Deepak Kumar, one of the senior ophthalmologists of Bihar and Sahabat. Both of them are very encouraging and real motivators for the society. Today's program is under the aegis of ARC BOS, though a few shortcomings are there for this program to be called an ARC event. For this, we really apologize and to rectify and promise to rectify the things in future. I welcome the eminent presenter of the day, Dr. Love Kochigave from Kolkata. I must say he is master of everything and a perfect gentleman. Presently, he is director in both Netralayam and BVI Foundation. In spite of his busy schedule, he spared time to be here with us today to make us wiser. I welcome all eminent guest panelists, Dr. Soni Sinha, who is Associate Professor in Ophthalmology in PMCH and also member ARC, Bihar Optometrical Society. Dr. Salabh Sinha is probably to join in a short while. He is a renowned VR surgeon. Dr. K. Agrawal, a versatile eye surgeon from Kosi Division. Dr. Tarannum Fatima, a reputed pediatric ophthalmologist at Patna. Fortunately, all of them have a long experience of using atropine in myopia progression. Very kindly, they have accepted to be here as panelists. I welcome all the program coordinators on this SOS web platform. We are fortunate to have you all with us. Because of your presence, today's session will be more interactive. And after the talk, we will have question and answer session. Hope after this web event, everybody will be wiser. This society is obliged to Intod Pharma people for their generous technical support. Welcome everybody. Now over to you, Dr. Nilesh, for moderating today's session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity again to moderate one more webinar from Shahabad Ophthalmic Society. Before we move ahead, I would invite our respected Vidya Nandan Prasad sir, VN Prasad sir, to give his opening remarks on the topic, and then we will proceed. Sir. Sir, mute पे है sir.
Unmute karo. Sir.
Is it okay now? Are you getting my voice?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm happy to be a part of this webinar. In fact, this is my first one. Thanks to all the organizers and especially Dr. S.K. Rungta for his kind gesture of his inviting me. Before I start, I want to introduce Dr. L-O-V-E Love or L-A-V Love. Any way you spell it, the effect is same. That is, we all love him so much here in Bihar Ophthalmological Society that it becomes immaterial, whether it is L-O-V Love or L-A-V Love. We all love him and he knows that. Now, before I go to the topic regarding the atropine in the myopia progression, there is, I want to share my own experience because in the years after 75, most of us start losing interest in the newer technology which are evolving in the ophthalmic scenario. And that is how about 3-4 weeks back, the MRA medical representative came and said that this is this percentage of atropine. And naturally, I asked him to put it there at the safe distance. And when he went away, it is struck to my mind, why this different concentration of atropine now? And in the meantime, after 2-3 weeks, Dr. Rungta invited me for this. So then I realized that it is such a tremendous development, which I was unaware of, because after 75, you don't want to go into the latest things. Whatever we have learned is difficult to store them in our failing memory. So that is how I was introduced to this topic of atropine in myopia progression. Myopia, as we know, that it is a global problem. And it is 2021, and it is predicted that by 2050, more than 25 years from now, 50% of the world population will be myopic. Now, 50% is a very big number. Why it is big number is very dangerous is 1/5 of these patients, they are also going to have a sight-threatening complications like macroal pathology, retinal detachment, and so many and so forth that you know about. Now, this came in focus in the Asian population first, that is mostly China, Japan, and also this was also reported from the other state. But in India also, there was no such study. And till 2018, when 88, the British also, they did not allow the use of this. And it was in recently only that they started the project there, and they started experimenting with this 0.001% of atropine was the starting point. So other than China, Taiwan, etc., the UK used to the details we will know from Love, that he will explain what are the duration of the treatment was offered and different percentage. My personal interest in myopia is that my mother was myopic of nearly -8, 9, and we were 5 brothers and sisters. There is a peculiar distribution of inherited myopia in us. That is, the first two, the elder brother and sister, they got 8, 9 myopia. The next in the series, we got nearly -3. And the last one, my sister, youngest sister, she got only -1 or 2. So with this, and then the next generation, and now my grandchildren. My grandchildren, 2 of them are in UK now, and their youngest is only 3 years old. And now, after reading this, I see some future for her, that probably we can hold this myopia at this level for some time. So this
Sir, mute हो गया sir.
You're muted again, Chacha. You're muted again. Unmute yourself.
yeah, are you getting it now? Is it?
Yeah,
Is it?
that's
sir.
fine. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So now that we are so much interested in this topic, and today what we are going to learn is the age group which is involved, the concentration of atropine which was used, that we are going to elaborate, techniques that they were used, the duration of the study, and their results, the outcome, and mechanism, how that it works, the atropine works. And we will also be hearing whether there is a large scale, any Indian study also. And ultimately, we need more large scale studies in India to validate the long-term safety and efficacy of this medication. And lastly, we want to learn from Dr. Love that if we start our own use of myopia in our private patients, then what should be our strategy and how to evaluate and proceed and document these cases. So it is interesting that I heard that already even in Patna, there are many people who are using atropine drop. So this is the time. So I hand over it to our speaker, Dr. Love, who will elaborate and detail the whole concept of myopia management by atropine. So over to Dr. Love.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Love, sir, just 1 minute. So we will introduce co-chairperson and then, sir.
Okay,
Welcome.
no problem.
Thank you, sir. So I would like to invite eminent ophthalmologist from Shahabad region, Dr. Manoj Kumar Singh, sir, to introduce our co-chairperson for today, Dr. Nagar. सर मनोज सर आवाज नहीं आ रही है.
Audible?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Manoj, yes.
Yes, I am audible.
Yes.
Good evening to everybody. I am introducing Dr. Nagendra Prasad. He is the co-chairperson of this webinar. Dr. Nagendra Prasad He is postgraduated from AIMS New Delhi in 1995. Worked as associate professor in RIO IIMS Patna. He started his private practice since 2008 at Buddha Eye Care and Leisure Center, Patna. He has vast experience for more than 25 years in ophthalmology and experience of more than 50,000 of phaco surgery. He is winner of multiple awards and medals. He is very proactive in academic and social activities at national and international levels. Thanks, sir. Now I am introducing co-chairperson Dr. Deepak Kumar. He has done MBBS MS from RMCH Ranchi. He is a joint secretary of Bihar Ophthalmologic Society 3 times. He is a member of ARSC Central Zone 2005 to 2008. He has presented more than 100 papers in Bihar Ophthalmologic Society, Jharkhand Ophthalmologic Society, AIJOSA, AIOS, APAO. He has chaired many sessions at all prestigious conferences. Now, hand over to Nilesh for further proceeding.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And I would also like to invite and thank all the panelists for today. Dr. Soni Sinha ma'am, who is associate professor at PMCH. Dr. Salabh Sinha sir, who is a prominent VR surgeon in Muzaffarpur and Patna. And Dr. KL Agrawal sir, who is versatile surgeon from Koshi division. And Dr. Taranum Fatima ma'am, who is a renowned pediatric ophthalmologist from Patna. All these eminent doctors have supported us SOS through the years with their while delivering lectures and sharing their experience. And yet again, they are here for sharing their experience of use of atropine in myopia in last few years. So on behalf of SOS, I welcome you, ma'ams and sirs. Thank you so much. And before we proceed, there is one small announcement by Dr. Deepak sir. Sir, please.
This is the Corona period in which we have lost many of our colleagues. So I request all of us to pay homage to all those who have lost their lives and are still struggling with Corona, and even after we post-COVID also we are struggling. So first of all, let us pay tribute to all those who have lost their lives by just silent prayers and with folding hands. Om Shanti.
Thank you, sir. I would now invite Dr. Abhishek Kumar sir to introduce our today's speaker, Dr. Love sir.
थैंक यू डॉक्टर लव बॉस हमारे धरती पुत्र हैं, इन्हें किसी इंट्रो की आवश्यकता नहीं है, बट इट्स कस्टमरी टू इंट्रोड्यूस द स्पीकर. सो डॉक्टर लव कसगवे इज फाउंडर एंड डायरेक्टर ऑफ नेत्रालयम एंड BBI Foundation VIP. Before joining BBI Foundation, he was assistant medical director at Shankar Nethralaya, Kolkata. He is a recipient of brand prize at APACRS and has received various awards at national level. Welcome, Babas.
Thank you, Abhishek sir. Sir, Love sir, stage is all yours for today's presentation. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. And for me, the biggest honor is speaking in a gathering of any place in Bihar, and I actually mean it, because in the panel are all my heroes and my mentors of my formative days. So it's always an honor to speak here. And the topic what we would be discussing today is atropine for myopia control. So I would suggest that we finish with the presentation, and there are many people in the panel who are using it. So after that, we can discuss our experiences and what all we should do and what not, where do we agree and where we disagree. So just as an introduction, as we all know that myopia is the most common cause of correctable visual impairment among both adults and children in developed country. About 1/6 of the world population has myopia, and in Asian countries, there is a rapid increase in prevalence of childhood myopia, especially in the Chinese and Singapore side population. Why? Because in foreseeable future also, children are going, and as we have seen with the lockdown, children have suddenly switched to electronic devices for long hours. So this is again will have impact on in the future, and incidence of myopia will increase. And what we are expecting by 2050, that the incidence will increase to almost 50% of the world population. That means every second child will be myopic. And when we see how it progressed in US it started from 25% to 42% in 1999. So it is not that in Western population the incidence is less. There also it is in the developed world it is almost touching 50%, which the Indian and Asian population will grow. But in the Chinese and Singaporean side, it is almost 70 to 90%. It is that prevalent. Pediatric myopia is of the world population, as I've already discussed, it is 23% roughly. And in Delhi, there was a study in which in 2015, the myopia was more than 13.1% among school-going children, much higher than the previous report. So there is largely a consensus that incidence is increasing as we are passing by. And why is it increasing? Again, because of the educational environment and long study hours. Higher education, earlier schooling, reduced outdoor activity, especially in urban population, and sustained near work. In this, I would just tell an interesting anecdote. Just last week, we had a webinar on myopia, and one of the doctors who does large-scale population-based studies, they had studied incidence of myopia in West Bengal. And what he told, they started from Sundarban area, which is mainly rural population and underdeveloped area, the incidence was very less. And from Sundarban, as they moved towards north, towards Calcutta, in the semi-urban area, the incidence was more. And as they reached near the boundaries of Calcutta, the incidence was quite high. So it is a proven thing that it is an urban phenomena. So as we keep on developing, the incidence will keep on increasing because of these factors. And regarding control of myopia, it is nothing new. We have been trying for many years, and various things have been tried, like undercorrection of the myopic refractive error with a bifocal or a multifocal spectacles, gas permeable contact lens, orthokeratology contact lenses, soft bifocal contact lenses, and topical pharmaceutical agents. Another important thing is outdoor activity. So let us see where all we stand in each of these. Undercorrection of myopia, as far as I know, it actually increases progression of myopia rather than slowing it. Bifocal and multifocal spectacles, the difference in progression rate is typically not clinically meaningful. So study was done, but there was no correlation found that whether it controls or not. Same with gas permeable and orthokeratology. In orthokeratology, the problem is, again, it flattens the cornea temporarily. Once you remove the lens, then again it goes back, regresses to the myopia. So typically none of this interventions worked. Now, coming to pharmaceutical agents, again, atropine for myopia control is again not a new thing. It is being tried for quite long, but still now, till recently, we had not come to any consensus. Mechanism of action, there are various things that are thought about it. One hypothesis was that with atropine, there is cycloplegia, and due to less ciliary action, that led to lesser elongation of the eyeball, and that led to control of myopia. But this theory didn't pass when the further investigation was done. Then there was another hypothesis in which what they said that the muscarinic receptors are found in the RPE layer, and atropine dampens the vital functions of the retina and boosts dopamine release from cellular stores. And this dopamine actually leads to inhibition of development of the myopia. This is the most accepted mechanism regarding atropine for myopia control. Now, what historical studies were done? Like it has been done as early as 1979, in which 1% atropine ointment instilled once at night in one eye for 1 year, and the fellow eye was used as a control. The control eye showed significant increase in myopia. So in 1979 only, we knew that atropine, if used, or cyclopentolate 1%, was effective in slowing of the progression. But still we were not able to use it because, again, the side effects related to 1% atropine is prohibitive in using it as a therapy for myopia control. Then later on, the better studies came on, first of which was the ATOM-1 study. And it is called atropine for treatment of myopia. So ATOM-1 study was a parallel group, placebo-controlled, double-masked, and randomized control trial. What again, they used 1% atropine. The participants received 1% atropine or the vehicle like the placebo drops once nightly for 2 years. And what they concluded was topical atropine 1% was well tolerated and effective in slowing the progression of low to moderate amblyopia and ocular axial length elongation. So this is almost the same study as was done in 1979. After this, then they did the ATOM-2 phase 1 trial. And again, this was in this, they used 0.5, 0.1, and 0.01%. So this is the study from which the present 0.01% came into consideration. And what they found out was that in reduced concentration, the myopia progression reduced by 75, 70, and 60% in the respective concentrations in comparison with the placebo group. So it is concentration dependent. The higher concentration led to a better control of myopia progression. And axial length elongation decreased by 29 and 26% in 0.5 and 0.1% of atropine. But again, the same was not observed in 0.01% of atropine in curtailing regarding axial length. So they concluded that atropine 0.01% had the minimal side effects compared to atropine 0.1 and 0.5%, and retains the comparable efficacy in controlling myopia. And in this study, when atropine was stopped for 1 year, after initial 2 years, atropine was stopped for 1 year. And after 1 year, it was found that 24% of the 0.01 group 59% of 0.1 and 68% of 0.5% groups in the original ATOM 2 showed progression. So what do we conclude with this? The rebound myopia was more in higher concentration when compared to 0.01. So that is why 0.01 came into use, because the rebound was much less when compared to 0.5 and 0.1%. In phase 3, what they did was retreatment phase, in which children who exhibited myopia progression of 0.5 or more after first year, after stopping at least for 1 year in the washout period, was again restarted with 0.01% atropine. And what they found out that retreatment with 0.01 could be as effective as primary treatment. So after initially, when you stop the treatment and if it starts progressing again, then it makes sense to restart 0.01%. And why 0.01%? Because the rebound phenomena is minimum in 0.01% compared to higher concentrations. Now, there is another study which is called the LAMP study, low concentration atropine for myopia progression. And in this, what they did 0.05, 0.025, and 0.01% as compared to placebo over a period of over a 1 year period. So previous one was 0.01, 0.25, and 0.5. Sorry, 0.01, 0.5, and 0.1. And now we are coming to 0.01, 0.05, and 0.025. So what they concluded is 0.05, 0.025, and 0.1 eye drops reduce myopia progression along with concentration dependent. Again here it was a concentration dependent. All concentrations were well tolerated, but 0.05 was the most effective in controlling the spherical equivalent progression and axial length elongation over a period of 1 year. So this study also mostly confirms the previous study that it is dose dependent. With higher concentrations, the control was better. And there is a very recent study, and this is mostly in a Chinese population. This was published in 2020, in which what they did was they had 660 participants and randomized to placebo and treatment. So in this, they used 1% atropine for 2 years and spaced 15 days apart. So what they did, they gave 1 drop in the right eye, then 15 days later, 1 drop in the left eye, then 15 days later, 1 drop in the right eye. That is how they randomize. They use the thing so that the blurring of vision is minimal. And another interesting observation they had was that near vision improved after approximately 4.6 days with 1% atropine. And they also, and after that, after the initial 2 years, they did once in 2 months atropine for 1 year and no treatment in the final year. So dropout in the first month, only 20% patients dropped out, and rest of them continued for the full course of the treatment. What they concluded was there is improve in atropine efficacy, retard moderate myopia, reduced atropine side effects because it is being used once in 15 days, minimize the myopic rebound. This is a interesting thing what was not found in previous studies. With 1% atropine, they found that there is less rebound phenomena, and due to spacing of the dosage, there is a better compliance in children. So again, this is a matter for further investigation. This is one of the studies that has come recently. So to summarize, the low dose 0.01% atropine for periods up to 5 years is a clinically viable treatment option for myopia. And what they did was in the age group 6 to 12 again, but and with a documented progression of 0.5 diopter in preceding year. That was the criteria to start the treatment. Again, we can debate this, whether we should start immediately on diagnosis of myopia or we want the myopia to progress before starting the treatment. Then myopia between 1 to 6 diopters were included, and those were daily once nighttime, and initial treatment should be continued for at least 2 years. So this is an important thing, that once it is started, it should be continued for at least 2 years. Now, how long we should continue? Suppose there now 3 categories will be there. One will be a good response. Suppose there is almost no progression or progression up to 0.25 diopter in 2 years, especially in children more than 13 years of age. In these children, atropine could be stopped, but once they come for follow-up, and if you see again a rising trend, then we have to restart it. Second is a moderate response in which progression is about 0.25 to 0.75 diopter at the end of 2 years. In these cases, there is no need to stop atropine. We can keep on continuing till the progression comes to at least around 0.25 diopter per year. Or poor response is at the end of 2 years, you are getting a progression of more than 0.75 diopter. Probably these children are non-responders. So atropine can be stopped in these children. Now, there was again another publication in Indian population, and this was in February this year only. This was from Dr. Rohit Saxena in AIIMS, and they had some participating hospitals all over India. And what they found out was that there is a significant reduction of 54% of mean progression with 0.01 atropine at 1 year. They studied this for 1 year. Axial length elongation again was 21% less in the atropine group, but was not statistically significant. Compare this with what was said in the ATOM study. In ATOM study, it was told that with 0.01%, there was no documented axial length elongation. It had no effect on the axial length elongation. That was what was told in the ATOM study. And these findings corroborate with the ATOM 2 and low concentration LAMP study, the low concentration of atropine for myopia progression. And rapid progression of more than 1 diopter has been noted in the atropine treatment group in 18 to 28% of the children with Chinese ethnicity was not seen in Indian children. The non-responder category in the ATOM study was not seen in Indian children as per the publication of Dr. Rohit Saxena. Side effects, again, allergic conjunctivitis, need for the photochromatic lens spectacles with 0.01%. Generally, it is not required, but here it was seen in 0.6% of the children. Spherical equivalent increase of 1 diopter or more. Again, this is the incidence of that. Axial length increase, the incidence. Side effects, as we all know, the side effects of atropine are photophobia, which is most commonly related with the increased concentration and very uncommon with 0.01% atropine. Blurred near vision was reported in 0.1 and 0.5%, but not reported in 0.01. But even in the 0.1 and 0.5%, it recovers by 26 months. And local allergic response, glaucoma may be induced by atropine. Incidence is as low as 1 in 20,000, probably has not been reported. And systemic side effects like dry mouth, face flushing, the normal one with what we see in atropine. So to conclude, evidence supports low dose atropine to slow progression of myopia. Motivation of parent and children is important for long-term compliance and adherence to treatment, because again, if we are irregular with drops, there is compliance problems, then chances of rebound increases there. Enhancement of outdoor time is a very important adjunct to this low dose atropine, and that should be encouraged in these children. It should be told to parents that you should encourage daily outdoor activity of maybe 1 hour. And studies in non-Asian ethnic groups is required to determine if the effect is as significant. Already we have one good study in Indian population. And myopic rebound associated with all doses of atropine needs to be studied further to formulate guidelines regarding the treatment discontinuation or tapering. And another important thing what we need to decide is whether once daily dosage and twice daily dosage, that also needs to be compared. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. This was really concise and very good overview of all the studies that have been done and the real life effectiveness. So before we proceed with the discussion, I'll like to invite our co-chairperson and the guest panelists for their sharing their experience, and then we'll move on to the question answers. So Nagendra sir. Sir, muted.
Excellent presentation, Dr. Love, and I think you have cleared all the doubts of the atropine use in myopia progression, and I have been using atropine since last 1.5 or 2 years, but I have not chosen the group as a control, a specific group, and I have not made any randomized trial kind of thing, but I have used in those because the patient, those who are coming to our OPD, and if I see the progression is there, and then I tried, and I have seen that almost a few patients, definitely there is a no progression in the myopia since last 1 year. So I think this is a good tool to use for the halting the progression of myopia. Apart from this, little deviation from the topic, I use it for other purposes also, like if patient is coming with eye ache and all by prolonged use of gadgets and all. So
this one senior doctor last week also told this. He is very senior, almost 65 plus. He told that he's using 0.01% in post-op patients, and that leads to a lot of comfort in those patients. There's no photophobia, no irritation.
Patient coming with headache and all, eye ache and all, that's all gone with the use of atropine. That is in my practical experience with all and all. So one thing I wanted to know from Dr. Love, if a patient complains of near vision problems, so what should we do? We should discontinue for treatment for the if patient complaining of near vision
for some time, though it has not been seen. See, practically with 0.01%, I have not seen till now that anyone complaining of near vision. But again, if they are complaining, continue it for some time. Give them some time to adapt to it. And even after that, maybe 1 month, 2 months later, if they are telling, then probably we need to stop. But this is more of theoretical. Practically, we are not seeing.
Okay. I have also not seen, just because you mentioned, that's why I asked whether we should discontinue our treatment. That's all from my side, and I think.
Thank you so much, sir. So, comment from Deepak, sir.
I was just waiting for Dr. Love's discourse so that I can start my work on atropine now. I have yet to start it, but I would like to know what are the compliance, any compliance problems for the patients?
Yes, it is there, sir. Because every time we keep on telling, and a small percentage comes back in the next visit, and they tell that we used it for a month or 2 months, and then we stopped it. Some of them tell that they have been irregular. Again, that also has to be warned. Irregular usage may not work because, again, rebound phenomena may be there with the irregular usage. Compliance problem is there.
What is the frequency of installation of the drops?
Once daily, but now there is more and more consensus about twice daily, though there is no publication yet. But pediatric ophthalmologists who have been using it regularly, they are telling that in non-responders, if you increase the dosage to twice daily, that is working. So till some publication comes regarding this, we can use it, try it in our patients and see.
Sir, what is your personal experience, sir?
Twice works better.
12 hours at 12 hours interval.
Yes. But that is not the documented.
How is it available in the market?
It is
now
In
Now 2-3 companies are there. Mitro is one. Even Sun Pharma has come with one drop. Java has one.
all 0.01%.
All 0.01.
And have you accidentally instilled in your eyes anytime?
I've not used yet.
I have a question.
Good suggestion. We should try one.
Just we will have a word from Soni ma'am and then sir.
Yeah, thank you. My experience with atropine began in, I think, 2018 when my son entered AIIMS Rishikesh, which was one of the multicentric, one of the spots where the multicentric eye atom study was done along with Dr. Rohit Saxena. So that's when I came to really know about it. And then I tried it out on my patients. And although there has been no, I would not say no randomized thing or anything, but in the real world data, what I can give you about is whenever I have used it in my patients, there has been definitely a positive response. Okay, now there are still many of my patients on a long-term basis on an atropine. For example, you are talking about 2 years, but there were some patients which have been, which were having great deal of progression, and even after 2 years and good response, I have not stopped it because I'm scared, because once I stop it, then it will go on increasing maybe later. So somehow I'm trying to taper it and then stop and then see if the progression is recurring again, and then I have to reintroduce. There's no question about abruptly stopping these drugs. The other thing which I have noticed, again, real world thing, never published yet, and I have not read about it anywhere till date, is that sometimes one eye responds and the other doesn't. Okay, or maybe what will happen is that both eyes are responding, but one of the eyes undergoes an escape. That means one of the eyes starts progressing. So I heard your earlier webinar, Dr. Love, about this atropine when you were discussing a great deal of things. And during the discussion, I came to know that, people could use it twice daily also. So it is preferable to put the 0.01% at night time so that this blurring of near vision really, does not become a problem for the patients. But maybe those patients who were undergoing this escape, we could use a twice daily regimen in the eye that was undergoing an escape. I have not tried it yet because this was a very recent webinar that I heard, but that was a very important take-home point for me. So this is my experience with atropine, using it for at least 3 years now in many patients. Yeah. And,
thank you, ma'am.
Going strong.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So we have one more drug that we need to taper and can't stop abruptly after steroids and all the.
Yeah, you cannot. It's just like, stopping amblyopia therapy. This is another thing which you have to keep watch over. So this is something akin to that. So you have to titrate it and customize it for each one of your patients.
Thank you so much, ma'am. A quick word from Tarannum, ma'am, for.
It was an excellent presentation by Dr. Love. He
on
has
the
really
same,
covered
her experience on using atropine.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
It was an excellent presentation by Dr. Love, and he has nearly covered all the points. The important points I would like to add that the age at which atropine usually we start is between 6 to 12 years. And we can also do it at 15 years if we see the progression going on. And I personally have been using it for a long time. Even before the commercial drops were available, we used to make dilute atropine and we used to make it. So it was a big relief for us when the commercial drops came in. So definitely there is improvement, and there is the progression becomes slower. It doesn't disappear. It is there, but it is slower. So that is a very important thing that we have to tell the parents, that your myopia will progress less. So they are not very scared that the drug is not suiting them. And usually I have seen that the effect comes in the second year or at the end of second year. And it was also been documented in ATOM-1 study. So that's from me.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Sir,
Dr. Ashish.
KL sir.
Sorry. Hello.
Yes, sir. So we can hear, sir.
Thank you, Love sir, for giving me detailed discussion. I'm using this drug since Endrol launched this hydro drops. I'm using this 0.01% at the bedtime only. I used in about 500 kids, and about 200 students are lost follow-up because of the migration of the students for the higher studies. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So practically, I saw more than 80% had the stable myopia. I'm using very regularly, but less than 5% had the rebound, not rebound, that had progression because of the lack of compliance. So, but I didn't see any side effects like allergy or reading problem. This compliance problem, what I did a software-based reminder for the every students who is residing either locally or they are going to the different institutions for the studies. So this software-based reminder helping me a lot for the reminding the patients to take this drug.
How
So
frequently
I think
do you send reminders?
every month, sir.
Every month. Okay.
Yeah.
That is a very good idea. Actually, I do that for my patching patients. For this also we can add.
So this is a EMR inbuilt software, like SMS reminder, or do we have a separate software for that?
And from the EMR only you can send it.
It is EMR based.
Okay, sir.
And I'm so confident about this drug, and I'm getting very good response. So whenever any myopic kids coming to me, I take 5 to 10 minutes for the what we can say. You have to use this drug so that you can prevent myopia, progression of myopia. So actually, parents are also very scared about that. इतने छोटे बच्चे को जो है सर कैसे लगे और चश्मा कैसे कम होगा. So I tell them this is the very good drop, very good drug. If you use very regularly, so you will have less progression. So I think this is very good drug. We should use it.
Thank you.
Excuse me. What is the ideal age at which treatment should be started?
Sir, actually, these patients usually come at the age of 5 to 6 years, sir. Usually myopic patients, because they have vision, they can read for 2 to 3, 4 meters. So usually parents don't bother about the vision in the initial period. So 5 to 6 years, whenever patients come to me, I start this drop immediately. And at whatever age they are coming to 12 years, 13 years, for the first time also, I start this drop, sir.
Thank you. That is the one point that Love sir told in his presentation, that it is how to. Sir, Ashish sir was asking first question, sir. Amit sir, just we will take Ashish sir question.
Yeah, so the biggest challenge, we have been using atropine 0.01% for quite some time. It's almost 2.5 years. This was started when I was in Singapore and I asked my dad to start this. So basic problem, what we feel is the monitoring of these patients. So we tried with the IOL Master 700, trying to record their exit length over a period of time. But since the rate of growth of myopia and the control by atropine is very minimal. Like in the ATOM trial, we know the growth was around 0.80. Regression in the growth was around 0.80 millimeter over the period of 5 years. And so yearly, if you see, it is 0.10 or 0.15 millimeter, which becomes very difficult to monitor. So we tried in some patients, and if you see the best of the machine which can measure exit length is as if now it's Lenstar or IOL Master 700. And the standard deviation of IOL Master 700 is again 0.10. So it became very difficult for us to actually monitor. We tried monitoring it, so it became little difficult for us to monitor. In terms of practical experience, I also feel it is controlling it. I mean, there's some control, but again, to prove it, it has become difficult because patients are not compliant, and we don't have patients who can follow for 5 years or 7 years. So probably in future we'll be able to know. This is one thing. The other thing which we have to know, the study has come from Singapore, and Singapore has a population of myopic population of 85 to 90%, which is even more than Chinese and Taiwan population. Also, these patients in Singapore, if you see, these patients are never exposed to long distance. So they either travel in car, buses, or they live in apartments. So for India, fortunately, we have better environment. So that's why we don't see. But in future, I think myopic boom is going to happen in India because we are all turning into digital world and looking at laptops, mobiles, and for education, online education. I think this is what we are going to face, and this drug may help a lot. So this is the biggest challenge. Dr. Love, if you have any, what do you think? How do we monitor these patients in terms of
that is exactly what was pointed in the study also, that axial length elongation they didn't observe, or they could not document. And that is a practical point. Even in the previous webinar, the other speaker was telling exactly the same thing. You cannot, it is such a minimal change in axial length that it cannot be documented. Only way you can document is whether the refractive error is becoming stable or not.
Yes.
In axial length terms, you cannot document this.
Yes. This is what we have also experienced. Thank you. So
but there is a differential response between Indian population and white population that might be because of the difference in melanin pigment and the concentration, because Indian population has more dark choroid. So that choroid theory, it's there will be more effect on axial length on Indian population compared to the whites. That's what I feel with the study. So Amit sir.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, I want to say that there are few points in your slide with which I will differ. First thing is, as you have told, that atropine should be started at night time. And there's one article by Dr. Mihir Kothari in IGO. They are telling, and many others also have listened, that they are starting in daytime. And the reason behind this is that first, the compliance of the patient improves, and second thing is the peak action of atropine starts in 1 hour, and cycloplegic action is maximum in 3 hours. So better to give them when they are more active. So this is the reason behind which they're all telling that we should start in the daytime. And second important thing which I was listening, according to LAMP study and ATOM study, there was a difference. Actually, the thing is that spherical equivalent is correlating with the dose of atropine which you are giving for myopia progression. But axial length is not correlating. In contrast, the LAMP study, they have got a correlation with the axial length also. So this was the difference. What you are observing is correct, but in terms of spherical equivalent, it is correlating with good. And the third point which I want to tell that atropine never stops progression. You cannot start in axial means myopia progression of 0.25%. You cannot start because eyes will grow. When you start is that when you are getting a progression of 0.50 diopter or more, means what we should concentrate on the population. Means there is they are divided into groups. First group they have divided that there is no myopic progression, means no progression. There is no myopic shift, means no progression. Second is moderate progression, 0.50 to 0.75 is moderate progression, and rapid progressors are those who are progressing more than 0.75, on which we have to concentrate most. But 0.25 progression you cannot start.
But they started on 0.5, no? They didn't start with 0.25.
No. Actually, your slide was showing that 0.25.
No. That was a different slide. That slide said that if with atropine we have achieved 0.25, then that comes in the category of good action of the drop. It is not the starting thing.
Okay.
And regarding the morning dose, I started with morning dose when I started giving atropine in my children. By that time, I had not gone through the publications. But once someone, and my logic was exactly the same what you told. But someone pointed out to
It's
me
9
that
o'clock.
atom studies have been done in night dose. Then why are you doing at day
Exactly,
dose?
this happened with me too. I was also using this morning dose initially,
So
and
then I
then
switched to night dose. Then the idea came that no, rather than night dose, it should be morning and evening. So now I am contemplating that I will actually switch to double 2 times dosage for all the kids and see how it is acting. I've not done that till now.
2-time dose
I
also I
completely
will
agree.
differ, sir.
Morning dose makes more common sense than a night dose.
Okay. And 2-time dose also I will differ, sir, because first we have to document the progression. You cannot start the atropine when the
Few
patient
people
comes.
have documented, but that is what
exactly,
not
yes, yes.
published.
No.
I think progression should be documented actually.
Yes, progression should be documented, and if the progression
At
is
least
more than
That is again, that is another controversial thing. Few of the users, they say that anyway myopia will progress. So why not start using it like last week? Dr. Jitendra Jethani is practicing in Baroda. He told that what he does, even in a child, suppose if the child is on cycloplegic refraction in one visit is showing plus 1.5, so we are not giving any spectacles. Next visit he shows 1, we are not giving any spectacle. Next visit he shows plus 0.5, we are not giving, but he will start atropine at that level only, so that there is a documented progression there, though the child is not myopic, then he starts there only. And second thing it is that if anyway all these children with myopia will progress, there is no question of not progressing, then why to wait till they have developed 0.5 extra myopia and then start? So there are
So,
different
like, what are you doing at this moment? Like,
I wait
do you
for
see?
progression. I wait for
You wait
progression.
now. I also wait. Actually,
No,
I want to
my
see.
logic is that unless and until you document at least 0.50 diopter progression in 6 months, you should wait. This is my logic.
But sir, the presenting refractive error is only minus 2.5 or some minus 3 high myopia. And that situation, shall we start on the first visit itself, or shall we wait in that scenario also?
What the studies tell that you have to document progression and then start.
Yes.
Even in any degree of myopia.
At whatever power. First document progression and then start. And second, about spherical equivalent, that topic came that most of the publications, peer-reviewed publications, take only spherical equivalent. Otherwise, cylinder doesn't make any sense. Suppose a child is having 0.5 myopia with 1.5 of cylinder, then the spherical equivalent comes to 1.25. But for our practical consideration, it is 0.5 only. The cylinder will not change. So that differentiation has to be made when we are starting treatment.
Yes. In cylinder also we do not start this atropine in cylindrical error of myopia.
Cylinder, then no question of
no need to start. Yes.
And how do you do refraction in those patients? We atropinize those patients for the documentation of progression?
We do with cyclopentolate.
Cyclopentolate only, no?
So there is one growing public, like scientific interest of age-dependent doses of low-dose atropine. Like in higher age, you increase it to 0.025, then 0.05. So that
Makes
is
sense, but no documentation yet.
Yes, it's under evaluation right now. But they are telling that if it is a non-responder or in higher, like if they come at
yes,
8 years, 10 years, then they have to go.
And again, no preparation is available commercially. That has to be made if it has to be tried.
So Tarannum ma'am was using, I think, an office-based diluted preparation. Ma'am, how do you prepare the low dose if we need in different concentration?
Actually, it was very difficult to make 0.01 per concentration. So we used to empty the bottle of atropine, and then we used to fill it with this lubricating drop. So we assumed that it was 0.01%. So initially, when the drops were not available, it was very difficult to make 0.01%. So that was the method which all the pediatric ophthalmologists were using.
But dilution with lubricating drops, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
You're using the HS dose only, sir?
Yeah, night dose only. But after recent these interactions, I think I will change.
No. Why you want to change, sir?
Morning dose will be, see, the child is more active in the morning. No, once you apply
So
that.
you're getting. How satisfied you are with night dose, sir?
It's good. Result is good. No harm. No harm in trying a different thing. See, once you try and see, then only you will know which is acting better.
Actually,
again, you have to document it, then see in the morning dose what is the effect, in the night dose what is the effect, and then we can.
I think this is a good idea. But only thing was that usually the children go to school, so that is the problem, that they will put the drop. They will whether they will be able to put the drop, they'll get time or not. That was what main concern which
Actually, Dr. Love, if you are satisfied with night dose, what is the advantage you want to get by putting morning dose? Will it not be better to put one drop in the evening and one drop in the night?
That is what I'm telling. That if you ask me personally, I will prefer double dose, morning and night, rather than a night dose and morning. But logically, if you think, if the morning dose should be more effective than night dose, so there should be a study between morning and night dose also, if it is a single dose. If it is a single dose, then let us have a study between morning and night dose and see whether it is statistically better, more significant than the night dose. These are topics of future study in this.
Yes. Morning dose, sir, it will involve both the accommodation. It will work on the accommodation also and the cholinergic pathway. Night only cholinergic pathway will work. So that is like the dual advantage can be there if used in the morning.
Why do you want to use accommodation part? We are going to rest the accommodation, na? So why
yes,
not?
In the morning, the patient is using
what is not accommodation.
Idea is to rest the accommodation.
That's what, sir. So in the morning,
the suggestion will be you just do a long study with both type of cases, HS drops and 2 times drop.
Yes.
And then you infer what is there any solid advantage. And next point is Dr. VN Prasad sir wanted to know कि वो भी बताएंगे आपको, जैसे उनके grandson, there are 2. One is 3 years old, one is probably 6 years old. He will like to know कि उनके case में there is a big family history of myopia. इसलिए वो उनको how to deal with those 2.
Can I ask the question myself, please? Very nice discussion, I must say. But one thing which leaves me in doubt, that nobody talked about the quantum of myopia regression and what was the maximum achieved and the minimum achieved. And how do you know that if atropine was not used, then that person had progressed to this level, and if because of your atropine use, this has become stabilized? How do you define that? That is, I am wondering that how one can find out. That is, suppose my child has -1 myopia at the age of 5 years. And I told you that in my family of 5 brothers and sisters, when genetic myopia, history of my mother having it, we ended at -3. I was number 4. And my number 5, my sister, she ended at -2. The top 2 ended at -10, approximately, both first and second. So that is hereditary factor also. So how do we know that myopia has been controlled by this medication and not by a general genetic factor? How do you know that?
One of the atom studies is alternate eye. The one eye has been used, another eye has been used as a control. Though it is very ethically, it is not correct. But what they did, they used in one eye atropine, another eye they used placebo, and they found the difference in both the eyes.
So, but the quantum of it, I want to know.
Other eye quantum will be more, no? Other eye is on placebo. other eye
Hello,
is
sir.
placebo, and your question is that two separate children will have a different quantum, but same child with both eye will have a similar quantum of increase. So the study was done with drop in one eye and no drop in the other eye, and there they found the difference.
But I want to know the quantum, the amount of difference that ultimately resulted in such studies.
Quantum will be different in different people.
In those, I'll have to go back to the presentation. What they found was around 60-70% was the progression was good control, means almost 0.25 when compared to the other eye. Other eye is progressing beyond 0.5, and the eye in which drop was given, it is going up to 0.25 in 2-year period. And second thing, they have done it only for a 2-year period. No, so the exact quantum of what it will go till the end, they have not evaluated that. They have evaluated it for a 2-year period, and in 2-year period there was a difference.
That means that a lot of still work is needed.
It is work in progress. It is just started.
And so reversal of myopia has not been noted in. Reversal of myopia has not been noted.
With 0.01%. With higher concentration, reversal has been worse. Rebound has been there.
Okay, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Amit, sir.
Sir, I want to tell you that one calculator is available, brain folder calculator for myopia progression. You can put some data is there. You can put that data and you will see how much your myopia will progress when your child will be at 17 years. And if you not use atropine, this is the main function of the calculator. So you can use it and assess the risk. That is a good idea.
What is the name of that?
Brain holder calculator. Brain holder calculator. BRAIN. Brain holder calculator.
Achha, okay.
That is a software.
Good calculator. Software. And in family history of myopia, I think you should start the myopia drops, means atropine 0.01% at the earlier stage, means at the age of 4 years, you should start.
Yes.
Because there is a definite risk of progression.
In which, in family history, you are telling?
Yeah.
He is further strengthening the study of Dr. Jethani. Even is in plus, then you will start, because if you have a strong family history, so you can start. Then it should be explored later, but needs a study to document it, I think.
Yes.
As we progress, we will have more indications when to start. I think we will have some indication in coming years when we can start on the first visit itself, when family history and
a strong family history, you can always start.
Also, when we should stop.
2 years.
When we should stop the treatment?
After 2 years.
Only.
No, sir.
As Dr. Love said.
No, not 2 years, sir. Unless and until you are documenting progression, you should continue. But study tells that up to 12-year maximum progression occurs. So by 12 years, should continue.
There are 3 category of patients in which, suppose you have achieved the control up to 0.25% myopia at the end of 2 years, then you discontinue and see whether it is progressing or not. But again, in my experience, I would say a minority of patients will fall in that group. Majority will fall into a category in which the progression is about 0.5 to 0.75 in the period of 2 years. In those children, it has to be continued. It cannot be stopped. And third category, again, which is again a minority, in which are non-responders, in which the progression is 0.75, 1 diopter or more at the end of 2 years. In those children, we can again stop because they can come under the category of non-responder. Or second thing is either try double dosage, 2 times dosage in those children, or a higher concentration in those children. These are all matter of investigation for future.
How frequently we call our patient for the follow-up study, follow-up
myopia,
and follow-up
generally
6 months?
6 months.
6 months, 4 to 6 months. I should
6 months. 6 months. That's what I do.
So, sir, can we combine this with the penalization therapy, like patient having amblyopia and myopic progression? So
definitely. I think so.
But more than penalization, See, most of the myopics are not amblyopic. Most, hardly you will see.
So, a few patients here in my center are coming who are presenting at 8 years, 10 years with 612, 624, like that.
I think unless there is an asymetropia.
See,
yes, an asymetropic progress.
And high myopia. Suppose if it is a high myopia untreated, those children will have amblyopia, not the moderate or low myopia, because their near vision is good.
So we can use both in that cases.
Dr. Love, suppose you told that there is no disturbance in near vision with use of this 0.01% of atropine. But if suppose in one child there is a disturbance for near vision, can we go for presbyopic temporary lenses in those cases?
Yes, why not? But try for some time for adaptation. Suppose let them use it for a month. See, near vision complaint, they will tell maybe in the first week. Let them use it for a month, see at the end of 1 month whether still the near vision is poor or not. And then we can, if it is poor, then we can try progressive also or discontinue the treatment.
So there is a group of ophthalmologists here who are actually not using atropine till now. So for them, if I'm permitted, I can just re-summarize your talk. That why this is important, because you know that by 2050, it is 50% of the population of the world, or rather Asian population, will be myopic. And we should go for 1 to 6 diopter cases. And minimum 2 years it should be used. Then again assess the progression. For that, this is a new thing, brand holder calculator. We must know about this. And there may be some photophobia and near vision blurring. If photophobia is there, we can go for PC glasses. And abrupt stopping of atropine should not be done. And we should start at the age of 6. Do you agree with this, Dr. Love?
Yes, or earlier if it is, see, ideal age, what I tell my patients is first eye checkup should be done at 3 years of age. With more and more awareness, many parents are coming at 3 years of age, and if they are having myopia, and
it is very difficult to assess the refractive
progression of myopia is getting documented at 3.5 or 4 years. We can try start then only.
Okay.
Study is between 6 and 12, but there's no harm in trying at earlier age if it is progressing.
And we must document the progression.
Yes.
So these points, I think, are important for those who are not using atropine. And everybody should start using this wonderful medication. And I think we must serve the society.
So we had a few questions on YouTube also, but I think all has been answered. They were asking what age to start and in family history, and somebody else also has suggested use of BHVI calculator for the progression of myopia. So we have audience on YouTube and Facebook that are watching. So thank you everybody. And any last comment from chairpersons, co-chairpersons, and guest panelists before we conclude? Sir.
I think this is a very important topic, and as it is new treatment to go for, so holding webinar on this topic is excellent idea, and must thank Dr. Rungta sir and SOS Shahabad Ophthalmic Society for giving this opportunity, and I thank the whole SOS team for those who are part of the organizer. Thank you, Nilesh, for your excellent moderator and moderating the session, and that's all. Good. That's all. Night today.
Nilesh, the talk today has been real eye opener for people like us who have not been using it, but you have just stimulated us, love, and I'm just going to start with the next question I'm going to have.
One thing I like that once this preparation came into the market, I did not take it very seriously. But after using few patients, I really came to know that it is working. Yeah, then I started on in regular basis.
We are before that. We were preparing it and giving.
Oh, that
Hello,
was
hello.
important.
First time, sir. First time I saw the presentation. First time I saw the product in AIOC Indore. I think Indore. Yeah, the entire kiosk was like nursery. So I thought that there is some like activity that is going on. It's not a product. There is some activity going on for children of doctors. That so after all, like last year only, I seriously took this and started.
But Dr.
Started
Kane
using
has a
this.
very
So,
long series of a study, I think 500 cases. This is a big series.
He should publish that. Huh?
Yeah. So go
Yes,
on
sir.
and follow all
Yes,
these.
sir.
बिल्कुल होना चाहिए.
Because real world studies will give more perspective, sir. So it should be published, sir.
Okay. Thank you. I'll try.
Yes, thank you, sir. Sunny ma'am.
Nilesh, I want to tell something.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Should I speak?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Sir, I want to tell you I want to share something, not tell you. How can I tell you? There is one more thing which I want to share with all the audience. That now for myopia progression, a new treatment is going to come. That is DIMS. DIMS is smart lenses, which will alter the progression of myopia. Have you used somewhere? Have you used?
Sorry, with smart lenses means?
Smart lenses means these are smart lenses. What happens is that there is a clear zone in the center, and in the periphery there is hyperopic focus. And when the light enters the center point, it passes and focuses to the retina. From periphery, it focuses before retina. So that reduces the stimulus of growth for axial lens. So now they are studying and telling that myopia progression is good to control with these smart lenses.
I'm not aware of this. Where is this being done?
In Hoya is preparing. Hoya's
is that contact lens or glass?
No, they're contact lens
Spectacle
also.
lens.
Smart lenses. They are telling smart lenses.
It's called peripheral defocus spectacles, I think so.
Yeah, I will tell you the name.
Yeah, peripheral defocus spectacle is there. I think.
No, the full name is defocus incorporated multiple segments, spectacle lenses.
Yeah.
That is a good thing because time will come in future. This lens will come in the market and it will be a good boom. I think. This is what I want to say.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Sony ma'am.
I think that was a very nice discussion and a very informative talk. It's always a pleasure to hear Love and all the other speakers discussing. And I think those of us who are not on the bandwagon of atropine should go onto the bandwagon, because the more the merrier. With that, we'll have individual inputs from so many people, and then we'll know maybe how to wean these children from atropine. Because the maximum, I think, as of now, it's very difficult to actually think of weaning the children. Just like in amblyopia, we have to be extremely cautious and warn them about those recurrences and follow-ups. So we have to be very cautious. So weaning will be, the protocol will be more important thing to focus on in the coming days. And as far as genetic myopia is concerned, I think real world data from all of us, because all of us who are using atropine, we have got a sizable proportion of patients who are genetic myopes. And in them, this atropine is working very well. So I think if genetic myopes, if there's a very serious, possibility of progression, if you think that it's going to be there, there's no harm in starting off with 0.01% atropine, at least for 2 years, see how it goes, and then, try to stop it and see if the progression recurs or whether it is stable forever or something like that. So for Chacha's question, although he has left us at present, but I think that would be the way to go for genetic myopes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Gail, sir, last.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. We have covered everything, sir. And I learned many things from Love sir. And one new thing I learned from Nagendra sir that we can use in the like aesthetic symptoms also. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, lot of real world data is available in Bihar. So, Chairman ARC is here. So, sir, any consensus document we can form with vast expertise of all the experts, and then from underages of ARC and.
We will try our best for it.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir. We will have a small talk of Entod Pharma before we will wind up. And next month we have AIOC. So there won't be any SOS monthly webinar. And we will resume on probably 22nd July with a talk on B-scan in ophthalmology by Dr. Amresh Kumar, sir. So I'll invite someone from Entod who can make the presentation. Rahul ji.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nilesh, as well as Dr. S.K. Runta, sir, for giving the opportunity to present the Entod recent happening and the novel and innovative products videos. And good evening to all the doctor. This webinar is supported by Entod Pharmaceuticals. I just like to share my screen. Yeah, this webinar is supported by Entod Pharmaceutical, and you may be aware Entod Pharmaceutical has over 170 ophthalmic and ENT product portfolios, and Entod recent initiatives. That first is academic and educational support to the webinar, virtual conferences and CMEs, doctor meetings, and second is the police eye care kit, as the nation is going from the second wave of virus, and our frontline Indian police are making use to secure us and make it safety to us. For them, we are giving the eye care kits, which contain our tear substitutes products like the Loctite Fusion and Lacryl Hydrate, face shield, face mask, and hand sanitizer. Such many more Entod initiative are going to on. Now, taking opportunity to show our the first novel DCGI approved Phenocan Plus product video. And second, for the myopia patients, low dose atropine myotro video. Thank you so much, Doctor, for making Entod Pharmaceutical as the India's fastest growing ophthalm and ENT company in this era, as the recent IQVIA data. Looking forward for many more such opportunities. Thank you so much to all SOS committee doctor and committee members. Now over to you, Nilesh.
Thank you,
sir.
Thank you,
so
Mr.
much.
Raman. Thank you, Entod Pharma.
So I would like to invite Papa Dr. Kanhaiya Singh for vote of thanks.
Is Dr. Amitabh here?
Sir is not has not joined, sir. I think sir has some.
Okay.
Very well.
Well, thanks everybody on behalf of Shahabad Ophthalmic Society for making this 39th CME and 12th web meeting so successful. The presentation by eminent speaker, Dr. Law, was quite lucid and informative. We have learned many things. A special thanks to today's panelist, Dr. Soni Sinha Madam, who is Associate Professor in PMCH, Dr. KL Agrawal, a versatile eye surgeon of OC Division, and Dr. Tarannum Fatima, a reputed pediatric ophthalmologist at Patna, for their effort to clarify all the things. Fortunately, all panelists are regular users of atropine in myopia progression by their interactive participation, we are wiser now. हम अपने चेयरपर्सन डॉक्टर वीएन प्रसाद सर का विशेष धन्यवाद करते हैं। हमें हमेशा उनका आशीर्वाद मिलता रहा है, मिलता रहेगा। सभी प्रोग्राम कोऑर्डिनेटर का हम धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करते हैं और सभी ने इतना समय दिया और बहुत सी बातें शेयर की। एंड थैंक्स टू today's moderator, Dr. Nilesh, for nicely moderating the whole session. My sincere gratitude to all for their presence and interactive participations. We are really wiser now. I am also thankful to all the other participants. I pay my heartily thanks to all Corona fighters at all level. I will like to extend a special thanks to Messrs. Entold Pharma people, especially its national head, Mr. Raman, Mr. Aswini, regional head, Mr. Sadad, Mr. Vivek of the Entold Pharma, makers of MyAtro, for providing all technical support and making this event so smooth, flawless, and successful. Thank you all.
And a special thanks to Dr. Love for lucid and very informative talk.
Yes.
And to Dr. Nagendra Prasad for giving permission for holding this nice webinar under ERC.
Whether it is vice versa, sir.
And a special congratulations to Soni ma'am and Dr. Prateek for its success. And Dr. Nilesh.
Nilesh is also in the DLP candidate, past candidate.
Thank you, thank you.
प्रतीक दिखाई नहीं पड़ा है।
Both the bright resident are from Bihar.
प्रतीक है बगल में।
है तो वो सामने नहीं आ रहा है। प्रतीक एम्स में भी बहुत मेहनत कर रहा है।
Yeah, he's a COVID warrior अभी।
डॉक्टर रवि बोल रहे थे कि प्रतीक नहीं रहता तो हम बेहोश हो जाते वहाँ।
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
राहुल जी एंड कर सकते हैं मीटिंग।